She downloaded the app on a Tuesday in October. Nothing dramatic about it. She was curious, a little bored, the way people are when the nights get longer and the impulse to connect with someone feels slightly more urgent than it did in summer. She set up a profile, uploaded a few photos, and started swiping without any particular expectation. She matched with someone named Killian within the first day. His profile said he was in the military, stationed nearby. His photos were clear, a confident face, a broad smile, the kind of profile that reads as straightforward and uncomplicated. They started talking the same evening. And for the first few days it felt like every other Tinder conversation she had ever had. Easy, slightly cautious. The normal rhythm of two people, figuring out whether they have anything worth pursuing. Then something shifted. Stay until the end. Because the story of what Killian did to her did not begin with the night he was standing in the alley. So when did she first know something was wrong? Within the first week, the conversation changed in texture. He started messaging more frequently, multiple times an hour. When she did not respond quickly, he sent follow-up messages, not aggressive ones at first, just ones with a specific quality of urgency that made her feel she owed him a faster reply. He wanted to know where she was, what she was doing, who she was with. He framed the questions as interest, as affection, as the natural desire of someone developing feelings for another person. Then he told her she was his, not as a joke, not lightly. He told her directly, in a message she still has, that she belonged to him, that he had decided she was his person, and that was simply the way it was going to be. They had never met. They had never spoken on the phone. They had been talking for less than 2 weeks. She tried to create distance. She replied less. She let hours pass before responding. He noticed immediately, and the messages that followed had a different quality, sharper, more insistent. He told her that if she tried to pull away from him, he would not accept it. That if she could not be his, no one else would have her either. That if she blocked him, something would happen that she would regret. She has said since then that she did not block him because she was afraid of what the threat meant. Then one day he vanished, unfriended her, disappeared from her matches. No explanation, no final message, just gone. And the absence of it was its own kind of frightening, because the silence of someone like that does not feel like resolution. It feels like relocation. Like the threat has not ended, but simply moved somewhere you cannot see it. She breathed a little easier. She told herself it was over. It was not over. He added her again 3 weeks later. The message she sent read as though nothing had happened. Warm, conversational. He said he had been thinking about her, that her smile had stayed with him. He asked how she was doing. He asked where she was. He asked who she was spending time with. And when she asked why he had disappeared, he deflected and redirected and kept the conversation moving. The way someone does when they have decided the previous behavior does not need to be accounted for. She kept responding. She has explained why, and the reason is important. She was not responding because she wanted to. She was responding because she had felt what happened when she tried to withdraw, and she had received a message containing a threat. And she had decided that keeping him calm and keeping the conversation visible was safer than the alternative. This is not a failure of judgment. This is what fear does to a person who is being stalked. It creates a logic that looks from the outside like complicity and is from the inside pure survival. He asked her to turn on her location. She did not. He kept asking. On a Friday night in November, a friend dropped her home at around 1 in the morning. She got out of the car at the end of her street and walked down the alley that ran along the side of her house. A route she had taken hundreds of times. A route that felt safe and familiar and took less than 2 minutes. There was a man standing in the alley. She noticed him, but did not think much of it. People cut through alleys. She kept walking. And then the man said her name, her full name, her first and last. said quietly and precisely by someone who knew exactly who she was. She stopped walking. She looked at him in the dark, and her brain did the thing that brains do in the moment before something terrible begins. It tried to make sense of the situation without accepting what the situation was. She searched his face for familiarity. She told herself it could be someone she knew from somewhere. She went through the faces she knew and tried to match them against the face in front of her. Then she recognized him. It was Killian. He was bigger than his photos. That is one of the things she has said repeatedly since, that the physical reality of him standing in that alley was different from the version of him she had constructed from profile pictures and text messages. He was very large and very still, and he was standing in the alley behind her house at 1 a.m. because he knew which house was hers, and he knew what time she would be coming home. He had been watching her long enough to know her routine, long enough to know the alley, long enough to know the exact moment to be there. Before she could speak, he grabbed her by the throat. He slammed the back of her head into the wall with enough force that her vision fractured. His hand stayed at her throat, and he pulled her toward him and demanded to know where she had been, who she had been with, whether she had been with another man. He was not shouting. He was not out of control. His voice was level and precise in the way that is more frightening than screaming, because it tells you that the person doing this is not in a rage they cannot contain. They are making a choice. She could not answer. She could barely draw breath. He increased the pressure at her throat, and her vision began to tunnel, and her body began to go to the place it goes when oxygen is being withheld from it, a distant, floating numbness that she has described as the sensation of beginning to leave herself. Drop a like if this story shook you, subscribe for more, and leave a comment. At what point in those messages would you have blocked him?